Back in April of 2021, Scott felt guilty that Security Breach had to be delayed once again. To try and make up for this, he made a game called Security Breach Fury's Rage, a game made literally as an apology for all the delays. It was hard to dictate at the time, but now that Security Breach has come out, not a lot of people have actually looked back at the game. But if you actually look back at it, there's a lot in there that was setting up stuff for Security Breach. There's actually some stuff that nobody has talked about, nobody has paid attention to, and some details that may actually have some lore relevance. So in this video, I'm going to go over all of the stuff I noticed in Fury's Rage, all the interesting details in the game, similar to what I've done with Fazbear Fright Stories. I'll go over any theories regarding whatever I find, if the details seem important enough, and if I think they do merit theories. So I think we should get started talking about Fury's Rage.
Make me a hero, someone to turn to and rely on their will to win. Make me a hero who puts up a fight both day and night. Oh.
Number 1. The thing farthest to the left of level 1 of Fury's Rage is parts and service. This obviously told us that there would be a parts and service in Security Breach, but it actually goes a bit deeper than that. Over on the edge of the map on the right side, where we fight the VR sisters, something else I'll talk about in a little bit, we see parts and service once again. This was weird when I first noticed it, but I noticed something similar in the next level. In level 2, we can see a mural on the wall that says, "Bonnie was here," and a couple other pieces of text at the farthest point to the left, but then we see this same wall all the way to the right. Same happens on level 3, and same happens on level 4. Basically what it means is that every map in Fury's Rage is just an infinite loop. I don't think anybody has noticed this before, and it makes you wonder what it actually means. It doesn't seem to mean nothing because it's completely unnecessary to have this be here, nothing about the levels actually require it, and it kind of implies for us that each level is just a never-ending cycle. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Number 2. In the first level, one of the things we see earlier on in the level is some text that says, "It's me." There seems to have been multiple people throughout the series who say "it's me," but none of them appear in Security Breach that we know of. "It's me" is more commonly a phrase associated with Golden Freddy. The appearance of it in Fury's Rage could be telling us that Golden Freddy would appear in Security Breach. Golden Freddy's Spirit of Cassidy, as well as the phrase "it's me" itself, appear in Princess Quest and Security Breach. Theoretically, the Spirit of the Bite Victim is in Security Breach as well, or an artificially created version of him in Gregory, depending on what you believe. Number 3. In level 1, there is a purple car on the street. This purple car is definitely meant to reference William Afton, possibly Midnight Motorist. It's possible this is meant to be a teaser to the fact that William Afton would return at Security Breach, which ended up being in the form of Burntrap. Number 4. The purple car I just talked about is sitting on a road next to a building labeled Burgers and Fries. The Burgers and Fries thing may be a reference to the FNaF fan game Five Nights at Candy's, where the main establishment is Candy's Burgers and Fries. This may seem like a bit of a stretch, but in Security Breach itself, we get references to another FNaF fan game, The Joy of Creation, so it's not much of a stretch that Fury's Rage would be referencing Candy's. Number 5. I think now is probably a good time to discuss the enemies we face off against in Fury's Rage, because they are really interesting. However, I'll go over the enemies in sections, grouping together the ones that are connected. So first off, FNaF AR animatronics. The first enemy we see when we first play Fury's Rage is the radioactive Foxy skin from FNaF AR. There's also a skin of Chica looking like Lobo, and it's unclear, but it could be that this is a rendition of Little Red Chica, or it could just be Chica as like a gang member or something. But Little Red Chica was released in FNaF AR about a week before Fury's Rage came out, so it could be that that is who that is. Level 2 introduces two other skins that are both associated with the circus, those being Broiler Baby and Thick Trap. And in the 4th level, there comes Freddy Frostbear. The reason all this is important is because Security Breach showcases some FNaF AR characters on the arcade machines, confirming that the skins are canon. It seems like Fury's Rage was trying to lead up to this reveal, trying to tell us that the skins are in fact canon. However, it's interesting to note that besides Clown Springtrap, the characters are different to how they are in FNaF AR. Whether extremely different or just slightly different, there are differences. Radioactive Foxy has on a gas mask and pants and boots, Frostbear has pants, Broiler Baby is a literal child with a shovel, and depending on whether or not this Chica is meant to represent Little Red Chica, she looks like Chica and Lobo had a baby who grew up to be a gangster, so yeah. So with all that being said, there's one other enemy related to this that we need to discuss at number 6, the VR Sisters. The VR Sisters are theorized about a lot, but I feel like they're a lot simpler than people make them out to be. Now, it is absolutely possible that they are meant to symbolize the idea of Tape Girl and Vanessa being sisters or whatever. However, Vanessa is Vanny, that's simply true. Them being sisters is possible, and the VR Sisters could be trying to tell us that, but I feel as if it's more likely that they are just meant to represent another FNaF AR skin. Looking at the patterns on the body, it's very reminiscent of the Arcade Mayhem, and there are two VR Sisters, one colored yellow and one blue. They wear VR headsets. This matches VR Toy Freddy wearing the VR headset and having two stages with similar, though not exact, colors of the VR sisters, those being orange and purple, and as I just said, the pattern matches. The fact that FNaF AR skins are enemies in this game very much supports the idea that the VR sisters represent VR Toy Freddy, though like I said, it is absolutely possible that they do represent Vanessa and Tape Girl, though I do feel that is unlikely. Number 7. 3 of the other enemies in Fury's Rage are a version of Mangle, Chipper, and the Puppet. In the past, I made a theory that suggests maybe Mangle existed at the Pizzaplex, as there is a Kids Cove area of the Pizzaplex, which is where Mangle was in FNaF 2. There are also 2 different levels from FNaF VR that have Mangle as the antagonist, and both of those locations are in Security Breach. FNaF 1, 2, 3, Plush Trap and Balloon Boy from FNaF 4, Funtime Foxy from Sister Location, and Nightmare On and Nightmare Fredbear from FNaF 4 are all in FNaF VR, and they're all from the original games, of course, and as I talked about in a previous video, they are all real events. So that would imply that the rest of the events are real events too. I made a whole video on this topic when Haps came out. The basic idea is that maybe Mangle was a character at the Pizzabox's Kids Cove area, but then it went haywire, leading to the events of Mangle Vent Repair. Desperately trying to create a replacement for Mangle, the events of Build a Mangle happen, and the entire idea of Mangle is scrapped from the Pizzaplex because Mangle is dangerous. Evidence suggests that this could be what happens, so the question just remains of whether or not it did, but if it did, the fact that Mangle appears in Fury's Rage could have been trying to support that. As for Chipper, he was basically the character to start it off, to start the whole series off, and to honor him, Scott created El Chip, a character based off Chipper himself. Security Breach actually shows the return of El Chip in his own area of the Pizzaplex, El Chips, so Chipper's appearance in Fury's Rage was likely set up for that. And finally, the Puppet. The interesting thing about the Puppet enemies in Fury's Rage is that their design is actually that of the Puppet in Toy Chica the high school years from Ultimate Custom Night. This could be telling us one of 4 things. 1, it could be telling us that the spirit of the puppet would return. 2, it could be telling us that the character the puppet represented in those cutscenes would return, and that spirit is most likely that of the bite victim, as that spirit is the one who seems to be connected to Midnight Motorist. So it could be saying the bite victim would return either as Gregory, as Glamrock Freddy, or both, or possibly as someone else. The third option is that it alludes to the dollhouse in the daycare room that has a broken window, possibly referencing Midnight Motorist as well, which is unlikely, but possible. And the fourth option is that it means nothing, but I feel like it's such a specific detail, and I feel like it has to mean something. Number 8. The VR sisters begin as the bosses in level 1, however they end up being normal enemies after that. Vanny is the boss of the main Fury's Rage game, as she was meant to be the main enemy in Security Breach, therefore those two bosses are kinda separated from the rest. But those other bosses are another topic of discussion. You see, the boss of the second level is Soul Brawler. He is a reference to Soul Dozer, a character from one of Scott's old games who also appeared in FNaF World. The boss of level 3 is named Mega Brow, and that is a reference to Brow Boy, another character from FNaF World. Two of the bosses are references to FNaF World, so it makes you wonder, is Dreamgeist connected to FNaF World too? Well, we're going to talk about what Dreamgeist is at the end of the video. Number 9. I've realized that there's actually quite a bit in Fury's Rage that hints at the Pizzaplex being built on top of the FNaF 6 building. At the beginning of level 2 of Fury's Rage, there is something on the wall in the background, but if you look closely, it's actually Lally's Lollies, one of the sponsors in FNaF 6. Scrap Trap appears at the end of the same level, but not only that, there is the mural right next to Scrap Trap that says Bonnie was here. This could have been an early hint that Glamrock Bonnie might have something to do with Burn Trap, like maybe it being the original Glamrock Bonnie that became Burn Trap, or Glamrock Bonnie being used to add more parts to Burn Trap to make him stronger. Number 10. In Silver Eyes, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed down and a mall was built around it. We see a little bit of what this mall looks like in the Silver Eyes graphic novel. I have a reason to believe that that mall in the Silver Eyes is the same mall as the one we see in the Fury's Rage level 3. The design itself and the layout match pretty well, but more specifically, there are trees in the mall of the Silver Eyes. Trees sitting in large-looking flower pots. Those same kinds of trees are in the mall of Fury's Rage. The upstairs floor being the downstairs ceiling to the left of the map matches, and while the stairs are a bit different, they are very similar. So because of all that, I think the mall in level 3 is the mall from the Silver Eyes. If this is the case, I think the reason behind this was to foreshadow the fact that the Silver Eyes trilogy and Security Breach have a lot in common. Both have an old abandoned Freddy's with a mall built over it. Both have William Afton trapped in the wreckage of that old Freddy's, and both have him controlling animatronics from under there. Then when he faces off against the main character, who is a robot, which in the case of Gregory he at the very least seems to be, he sends those animatronics after him. There's also the fact that both have an amalgamation of animatronics begin the story by working with Afton, even attacking the child that Afton wants to be attacked, but then switching sides and going after Afton, attacking him either in a burning building or throwing him into a burning furnace. These two storylines run on huge parallels, and they are part of the reason why I believe the blob to contain the spirits of the missing children, part of why I believe Gregory to be a robot, and part of why I believe that Elizabeth is going to be returning in some capacity in the future. So yeah, I think Fury's Rage was depicting the mall from the Silver Eyes, and I think it showed that mall to tell us that Security Breach and the Silver Eyes trilogy would be connected. Number 11. The main area for levels 4 of Fury's Rage has a lot of animatronic parts. Some of these are endoskeleton parts, but there are actually some actual animatronics being made. Hanging from the ceiling are the torsos of what seem to be Glamrock Chica. However, in the background there are 3 pods. 2 of them are blackened, hiding what is inside. However, in the center pod, we see the silhouette of a Freddy animatronic. However, the design of this animatronic doesn't seem to match one that we've seen before. The shape of the head is wide, yet the bottom of the head doesn't protrude out as much as the other Freddy characters. So, who is this? Is it just a previous Freddy but with a slightly different design because of the style of this game? Maybe, but it's weird that it's the only one that isn't blacked out. It feels important, but not quite as important as the next one, number 12. Towards the middle of the map in the 4th level is another tank, but it's up in the middle and foreground, not the background. This seems to imply it's a bit more prominent than the other ones, but the real important thing is what's inside this tank. Everything in this game is foreshadowing what we eventually saw in Security Breach, but because we didn't know about all this stuff when Fury's Rage actually came out, nobody thought to think about it. And even after Security Breach came out, pretty much no one thought to look back at Fury's Rage, and that's where I come in. Fury's Rage foreshadowed Security Breach, so the fact that the game shows a circus baby animatronic being created coincidentally next to Vanny doesn't seem to be a coincidence. It very likely seems to hint at the reappearance of Elizabeth, possibly as Patient 46. In the CDs, it said that Vanessa is being manipulated, and later on it said that Patient 46 is the one doing the manipulating. Patient 46 and Vanessa are connected, and Fury's Rage shows Baby also being connected to Vanessa. So what does this mean? Well, I have made videos on the topic in the past, but in a couple days I'll be releasing another video on the topic of who Patient 46 is. But even if you haven't seen my previous videos on the topic, based on what I've said, I think you can figure out who I think it is. I mean, I literally said who I think it is, but yeah. Number 13. On my PC, I have the file dump of Fury's Rage downloaded, so what I decided to do was look through it for some interesting stuff. That's how I got a couple of the images I showed in this video, but during my look through, I found the actual names of all the music in the game. Most of them don't seem to have any meaning, but one of them actually seems decently important. The music for level 1 is titled Midnight Prowler. The fact that Midnight is in the title of the level 1 music, and there's a purple car in the same level, really makes me think that that is supposed to be a connection to Midnight Motorist. And the word Prowler can mean someone moving stealthily, or someone with a view to committing a crime. Since Midnight Motorist is right after the death of Charlotte, it could be trying to tell us that Orange Guy, the guy driving the purple car in the minigame, is the same dude who just committed that crime. The song during the boss battle of each level is called Metal Stitches. Level 2's music is titled A Hunter Never Dreams. The music for level 3 is A Fox in a City of Wolves. The music for level 4 is Kicks and Bricks and Dirty Tricks. And the music for the Dreamgeist level is Scoundrel. And this leads me to the next thing that I need to talk about, number 14, Dreamgeist. What is the Dreamgeist and what is it trying to tell us? One can argue that it is poking fun at Dream Theory, but I don't feel like that's all it is. The Dreamgeist has locks all over his body, very clearly trying to tell us that he represents the box from FNaF 4. Inside his head is a bunch of stuff that in the past people used as evidence for Dream Theory. The toy Chica missing her beak, the IV drip, the 6 AM alarm clock, and the grandfather clock. Inside the head is also the FNaF 4 box itself, but there's also what looks like a pizza. Dreamgeist also has balls. I mean ball pit balls, okay? I feel that it's more likely that Dreamgeist is actually representing what is actually in the box, the pieces of Happiest Day. As I talked about in a previous video, the pieces of Happiest Day are actually the bite victim's memories. The toy Chica figure is actually a part of that memory. The grandfather clock and the alarm clock may represent the clocks that we find in FNaF World, the clocks which are actually the pieces of Happiest Day. The pizza might just be a reference to Freddy's, as the bite victim probably went there at some point before he died since he loves his Freddy character plushies, but the really interesting thing is the balls. In Fazbear Frights, the ball pit is a path to the memories of people who reside in the balls. Please stop making this awkward. It's completely your fault that this is sounding weird, okay? It's not my fault, alright? Please just stop. The fact that the windows into memories are shown to be inside the head of a character who represents the FNaF 4 box tells us that the box has to do with those memories. The memories of the bite victim. Dreamgeist tells us that the box is the pieces of Happiest Day. This is actually supported by FNaF World, where there is an unused texture of the FNAF 4 box unlocked and opened, and FNaF World is all about those memories being used to set up Happiest Day. So all of this means that inside the FNAF 4 box is Happiest Day. And number 15, the final thing I want to mention is the ending of the game. The same text shows up no matter which ending we get, and both say that the heroes worry that what they'd done was a distraction. Freddy says this at the end of Security Breach, claiming he thinks that something else is going on besides Vanny. After defeating Vanny in Fury's Rage, the animatronics think it was a distraction, which leads to Dreamgeist, but it represents the idea of Burntrap being the true villain. But even after defeating him, they still think it's a distraction. This could be trying to reinforce the idea that after Afton is gone, there will be a new villain that takes over. But that's everything I wanted to talk about for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, then please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd like to thank you all again for 10,000 subscribers, and I want you guys to stay tuned for the videos that I have planned for the future, because there's a lot of cool stuff planned. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!